Welcome to another episode of the Building Bridges Gateway program, coming to you from A9 TV, beautiful city Istanbul. Our goal is to bring peace, love and brotherhood to all mankind, regardless faith, race or nationality. Today, Emre Oktar Gökalp with me, and we have a very distinguished guest, and I let my friend Oktar to introduce him now.
Yes, our distinguished guest is Dr. Hossam ElShazly. He is a former presidential candidate of Egypt 2012, the political analyst, an international expert in change management and business liaison. He's a senior member of the governing board at the Supreme Committee of Political Forces in Egypt. He is the current president and CEO of the CPI International Group, leading a giant multinational consulting operation in 19 countries worldwide. His record of experience highlights outstanding stories of success within multinational blockbusters, including Bristol-Myers Squibb, ExxonMobil, Organon, IBSA, New Farm, UOH, and CPI. He is a former special advisor to Vice Rector at the University of Hale in Saudi Arabia, the former Assistant Dean for Strategic Planning and Development, and the founder of the Strategic Planning and Development Center at the UOH. He is a Fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine in United Kingdom, Fellow of the Academy of Marketing Science at the University of Miami, MCIM of the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK, and the former Professor of Strategic Planning and Change Management at the CPI Corporate Center, HTW, HTF, CMSD, Switzerland. His area of research and writing focuses on change management, political analysis, community development, and strategic planning. Dr. ElShazly acted as a senior economic and political consultant for royal figures and governmental bodies, as well as international institutions in Europe and Middle East. Dr. ElShazly, welcome. It's a pleasure and honor to have you.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
It's a beautiful CV.
Yes,
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Now we will have some questions for you.
Yes, please.
Hi, Mr. Hossam. Welcome to our program. We're honored to have you in our program also. A new democracy is born in Egypt. How do you evaluate the current political situation in Egypt?
Well, actually, I think that Egypt is really passing a very, very important and critical stage in its, democracy, and it's a new democracy. I will say it's not only for Egypt, but it's for all the media at all. In my belief, there is a new world order which is currently born in the Middle East area. It's very normal that following revolutions, many countries face challenges and face, of course, ups and downs in their way to build a new democracy, particularly that if we understand that Egypt maybe remain more than 60 years, in my thinking, under first Amelet, it's currently going with very, very, I think, solid steps toward real democracy. I believe that the objectives what the government has and the way the government is planning toward changing Egypt, building a solid economy, and going in a very solid, relations with all countries in the world on the basis of mutual benefits is going very well, even in the event of these very, very, great challenges what Egypt is facing today. I believe also that a very clear example of this is the relation between Turkey and Egypt. Yeah. And the development which occurs during the recent years and months in relation, we have today more than 27 agreements which were signed between Turkey and Egypt. We have really, I think, on the highest level candidate between, political leaders on the level of prime ministers, presidents, businessmen, and I see also that Egypt is really representing the new face of democracy in the Middle East and in the Arab region.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we hope this is will have ideal democracy not only in Egypt and Turkey, in the entire Middle East, inshallah. And we love the Egyptians. Our brothers and sisters that are living in Egypt. So Egypt is like a part of Turkey, and we need Egypt. Egypt needs us. An alliance and unity of Turkey and Egypt is very crucial for the peace in the Middle East.
I share the same opinion. I can tell you that every Egyptian has the same feeling with relation to Turkey. We are always looking into cooperation with all Turkish fellows. I will give you a clear example that even in in my case, doing a business, international business out of Switzerland, one of my very, very, big priority currently is working with a Turkish company where we internationalize a new Turkish brand, Cosmo Medical, worldwide in more than 20 countries worldwide. So it's the same feeling, and we share always the same mutual benefits. We have the same political objective, we have the same history, and we share the same views.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Yes, Dr. Hossam, it was on the news that Egypt's Nur Salafi party will not join the new cabinet. And do you think that this cabinet reshuffle was an attempt by the President Morsi to ease tension with opponents? Could you please give a comment a little?
Yes, I believe, please repeat the last part of the question. I understand that you mentioned that the Salafi party will not join the parliament election, right?
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So your question is, what is your question?
My question is, do you think that this cabinet reshuffle was an attempt by President Morsi to ease tension with opponents?
Well, I will say that, of course, President Morsi really made many attempts trying to ease tension with the opponents and with the oppositions. And my belief, the problem of Egypt today, and it's the problem not only of Egypt, but it's in many new democracy, that it's always you don't really get the right mature opposition from the first stage. So at the time, when you have a new democracy born, there is always phases which you need to pass till really you have a type of opposition, because the right opposition in any country in the world is always sharing in the critical building of the country, in what we call it constructive criticism, and at the same time in helping actually to spot deficiencies in the policies and also to deliver alternative solutions. But today Egypt is facing actually a different type, a little bit of opposition. So I will say that the opposition which Egypt has today will require many other stages till it became a real opposition, but it's still, there is a lot of things going on the political scenes which related to the backgrounds of the opposition lead. The idea of, being against, Dr. Morsi only because he is coming out of the Freedom and Justice Party, and I believe that you know this very well, because it's the normal stages where Turkey passed many stages similarly, and I think Egypt now is going also towards this, that by the time we have a real, mature, wise opposition, I think we will all share the right philosophy to build the new Egypt.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah. Democracy is very, very important, and that is actually in the essence of Islam, the freedom of thought and freedom of worship. And of course, the democracy in Turkey is not ideal also, but it's getting better and better, and we hope in the same way, the democracy and freedom of thought and freedom of worship will go in Egypt in a much better form, so everybody will be happy with the system.
Yeah.
Yes, I think, it's what, as you correctly mentioned, and I can add that democracy is something really which you need to be learned by trial. You have to practice it. Also, we all know that our area cannot to any extent import any form of democracy, because the real fact which we all understand in the area, that all the other, powers in the world before the area came to democracy, they were also in good contact with the former regime. So in one way or another, today we have a new, all the players in the Middle East understand that real democracy is the only solution, for existence. And my belief that the real problem in the Middle East today is coming out of the absence of real democracy, the absence of having really a real respect between players to the mutual benefits of both countries. So the old picture and the image of democracy where you can impose your benefit on someone against, the benefit of the people, of the country, need to end and forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Hossam, also I wondered how was the relationship between Christian and Muslims in Egypt prior to and after the Mubarak regime? How does Muslim brothers approach interfaith dialogue?
Well, I have to say that, Christians and Muslims lived together in a very, very good unity for a very long time. I have to tell you that I don't really call in my history when I have my friends that I can really differentiate or have this question in mind at all. It was never asked in Egypt. I can tell you that the situation which we see today in the media or the situation are to be ignited recently talking about this difference is only a political tool which is being used only to destabilize the situation in Egypt. But the true fact that Egyptians are living together in a very good harmony, and I think that from the side of Dr. Morsi and from the side of the Muslim Brotherhood, and I have to say from the side of the Freedom and Justice Party, because we talk about political parties, so it's really that today we all of us know that inside the president cabinet you have Christian advisors. President Morsi was really very keen to have all Egyptian Christians to participate in the development of new Egypt. I understand that there is, many questions which of course need to be answered. I understand also that the world itself is looking to the newcomers of the Freedom and Justice Party and the newcomers of the Muslim Brotherhood and President Morsi with many questions, and I believe that they have to do more also from their side to bring much trust and much better relation when it comes to this point. But I can see very well that Egypt has no problem when it comes to Christian Muslims, and I think that they are moving together very well. I believe that, media need to play a better role in really bringing these ties and relation to each core relationship. I have to tell you that, Egypt, and you know this very well, Egypt for a very long time was a place where all, type of religions stay together and live together in a very good unity. If you go to in the streets of Egypt, you will have all types of names and business entities which was related to all the time to Egyptian, Jews, Muslim, and I can say that the real problem what we are facing today in the Middle East is the absence of real democracy. Democracy which need to be built on the rights of free rights of human beings, mutual benefits, existence, the right of existence, freedoms, and this is what we are really, I can say, what we are missing today in the Middle East, in a way that we are still, maybe having problems because of the old type of regimes, of the old interference of, of political regime, and I believe and I hope that this will be, totally disappear in the coming, days and months.
I mean, you're right. I mean, there is no, we can't find a real ideal democracy in anywhere in the world. In many states, in the Western countries, including U.S. and some European countries, they impose their ideologies on the people, and they resist the ideas and the religious views of their people, own people. So that means there is no real democracy, but real democracy can only be established with good morality, given complete freedom, and complete freedom of speech, complete freedom of thinking, and complete freedom of worship to everybody, as long as they don't offend each other, of course. And so that will bring real happiness. And the ideal democracy can only be established with good morality of Islam, because in Islam Allah says there is no compulsion in religion. And this is a verse from the Quran: I seek refuge in Allah from accursed Satan. So you cannot force anybody to believe in anything. So what you're telling is good news, actually, because in also Quran Allah tells us to respect, to treat the people of the book, the Christians and Jews, very nicely. Allah says, argue with them only in the kindest way. and that the Christians treated nicely in Egypt, and they have this freedom, is very good news. This is the way it should be, actually.
Yeah.
Well, let us face and call the history, because when at the time when Muslims came to Egypt, long time ago, there were 5,000 people coming with Amr ibn al-As, and the idea of actually being 90 million Egyptian people today, most of them are Muslim, more than 85 millions. This is mean that people had turned to Islam by their own will. It was based only on the mutual understanding and on the mutually feeling of this similarity between the two books and the two religions, and I think that even the Jews lived in Egypt for a very long time, and it was very famous that you have many families, many friends, Jews, Egyptian, and I think that all the story what we are facing today is because of the absence of the real democracy. As you mentioned and correctly mentioned, imposing the type of democracy which serves the right of a certain direction will never bring the right, will never bring the right way, not only in the Middle East. That some times ago I have been asked a question about how we can bring stability to the Middle East, which is always a big question. How we bring stability, to an area which for the last years and years, stability is always a dream, I think if really all nations, all countries in the Middle East will apply the real rule of democracy, we will have stability. If you understand that democracy means that you cannot attack people with no reason, if you know that democracy means that you cannot kill children, if you understand that democracy means that you have to respect the rights of other people and you have not to interfere in their freedom and in their countries, and if you really understand that you have to respect the right of people to choice, today, if the people in Turkey or in Egypt, they choose their own president, in a free election, in a democratic election, the rule of democracy need to really be applied. You have to respect this choice. Every country, if the people in Egypt, they choose their president and their party in a free election, then you have also to respect this choice. And this is the only way that really will bring real stability to this area. And as I mentioned before, we are learning. The process of democracy is a process of trial and errors. To develop really the model of democracy which you can apply in your own country and which bring a real, good economy, which can bring the people to a better situation, which can correct the problems what we face all for many and many years. I think that today the relationship between Turkey and Egypt is a very clear example and model of what I speak. Two countries respect each other, two countries respect the model of democracy, two countries, of course, we are sharing a lot of things, not only this, but at the same time, really, the rule of democracy is the only way to bring stability and to bring prosperity to the area and to the region of the Middle East. Why? In my view, and we all understand something, in a democratic government, always the president, the prime minister, the government, they come and go. But the only factor which is always fixed and stable, people. Say, if you are able to build a good understanding and a good relation between the people of both or of countries based on mutual benefits, you are sure that you can bring stability. Yeah. But what we are facing today of this false model of democracy which is present in some areas, that when one government is existing, they have a good relation with the other government of one country. Where the government go and another government come, so they come with another rule of democracy. But we need to understand that in real democracy, people are the only factor which can guarantee stability.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I mean, and we believe that a unity, an alliance of Egypt and Turkey, and will better the democracy in both countries, will better the economy, will better the education, and this unity will be very powerful against radicalism and extremism, and other Muslim countries will follow. So my question is actually related, your opinion about Turkey, because in one of your articles, and you quoted, you said leaders build bridges that take us from where we are now to where we want to be. Bridges are made out of hope and prosperity. So you quoted that. We believe that
Yes.
the role of Turkey as a leader, a big brother in Middle East, is very crucial as a democratic and Muslim country. So what do you think about the role of Turkey will play?
Well, it's a very, very essential role, and I will say it's the time now for this role really, with Egypt being a new democracy, to work together on all fronts, because this is where really we can change this area. We understand that there is no world order can be changed without really, the biggest two countries in the region. So I mean, there is always a very important relationship between prosperity, economy, and even power. I understand that today the role of Turkey is one of the main, if it's not the main role in the area. And we have a very good opportunity, because not only because of the historic relation and the business relation, and as I just mentioned to you, that it's for every Egyptian businessman in every place in the world, Turkey now is a priority, But it's also because we are really representing the main two regions in this area when it comes to the size of the population, when it comes to the military powers. And we have something very good, that when we cooperate, we never cooperate against anyone. This is really the trick, and this is maybe into the EU having really this standardization and having these in the last years, and added to this the new agreement which has been signed between Egypt and Turkey, where now all products from Turkey and Europe, Egypt, going to other parts of the world. I believe Egypt and Turkey will have a real, big effect, not only in the Middle East, but in the new world order. We understand, all of us, that the world is changing. And if we really want to see how this change is big, we need to know that by the year 2020, China will be the biggest economy in the world. And it will not be anymore after 2020, United States. If we understand that after 2020, there will be many changes when it comes to economy, to business, to doing business, to making, we have to be ready. I mean, we have to be ready as very important, very big nations in this area, to work with all parties, to open all our doors. I think this is what really makes programs like yours very important. How to bring all people together, how to have this point of unity, of working together, away from really any type of hate, racism, or even away from race or religion, the type of minority. This is very important, because this is the only way which will go after in the new world. Coming back also to very important part in your question, the vision of a leader is very, very important. That's why we call always, political people as leaders, because they are able to convince their people, their nation, their world with something still they cannot see. When the leader has a vision, and when his people really believe in this vision, he or she can transfer this mental image to his people. People are moving and changing the world. You, as Turkey, your history called for this. At one time, you have leaders who really not only changed the world, but they are governing big parts of the world. And it was all based on this type of vision. So I think that we need all countries which believe in this type of democracy, which Turkey has today, in this type of freedom and justice. We need all to work together with Turkey to make its rule very effective in this area future-wise.
Yeah, great. And Mr. Hossam, the last question is, do you think that the Muslim countries should have closer border with one another by an Islamic Union? So an Islamic Union, so we can end the problems in Gaza and the other parts in the world.
You mean that they came together under one umbrella, or come together under one? What you mean by what you mean by removing the borders?
Okay, closer bonds.
Closer bonds.
Closer bonds. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course, yes. I mean, in my belief that this is a new world. I mean, as you can see, we all see this, that now this is the world of people working together. Even on the level of companies, it's mergers and acquisition. On the level of nations, it have these new collections everywhere where people work as for their own benefits. It's this giant EU. It's a giant connections between countries, and the Arab world and the Islamic countries particularly, if I may say, they have to look where will be their position in the coming new world. I think that in the area of the Middle East, you have a lot of opportunities if the Islamic countries really came together in a real way of democracy, of closer bonds. We will be able to achieve a lot together. And again, Turkey and should lead this change, because democracy is the call for this, and democracy is the real factor which you can use to bring this.
Yeah, you're right. Turkey and Egypt should lead and with a unity with independent countries, and this will bring a large unity, much better form of European Union, because European Union is an only economic union, but this will be a spiritual unity in all the aspects, not only in economy, education, democracy, and it will bring wealth, will bring prosperity and power to the area, and this will be very powerful against radicalism and extremism, and this will stop all the things happening in Syria, in Iraq, in other countries, the internal conflicts in Bahrain, Tunisia, Jordan. So this will be benefit for everybody, but Turkey and Egypt has to lead this. These are the most important two countries in the Middle East, and if the unity, this will benefit also Egypt, this will benefit Turkey, and other countries will definitely follow. And this will be a huge power in the world, number one power in the world, and not of course to harm the other people, other civilizations, but also this will bring wealth to entire world and peace and to the entire world, not only to Middle East.
Yes, of course. As I mentioned before, there is no real, economic prosperity without power. I mean, when we talk in politics, this is the world. We have to be sure that really we can work for the benefit of our people together. And we need to understand and we need to make it clear for everyone that we are not doing this against anyone, but it's for the benefit of our people.
Yes.
But we need also to be able to protect our freedom and to protect our mutual interest.
Yes.
And this is something that you cannot ignore in the changing world every day. I mean, we are looking to have, a good relations and peaceful relation with every country, a good relation and the business economic ties with every country in the world. But this is also need to be based on the mutual respect and on the mutual, benefit of both, countries, and not on the interference of any country in other country. As I see now, Egypt and Turkey, they put a very clear example of how they can stand solid together for the best of their people and for the best of their countries, and I think it will be for the best also of the Middle East and Muslim countries, and all the countries share the same beliefs and the same, idea and concept of real democracy.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, we
The
wish.
Turkish nation will love our Egyptian brothers and sisters. We think Turkey is inseparable from Egypt, actually. You cannot separate Istanbul from Ankara. So you cannot separate Turkey from Egypt, actually. Separation is very abnormal. Now, without delay, we should start this unity immediately, inshallah, and this will bring peace to the entire world with the leadership of Turkey and Egypt.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Yes, I think I agree with you totally, because I think one of the main things, as we all know, that you need really to choose the moment of the history where changes can be made. Today, Egypt and Turkey also has this type of momentum, when not only the historic relation, not only the feeling between the people, but also the governmental relation, the decision makers. You can pass many and many years where the momentum will be the same like today. And I think that it's not because of this government, it's not because of the two government chair philosophy in the world, but also because they are both truly, freely elected government. And that's why it's a momentum. It's a momentum where really Turkey and Egypt need to build it. And I really, make a call for both leaders of both countries to really not look to this relation only as a business agreement. Yes, we did a lot. I mean, I understand that the relation is becoming stronger and stronger every day. The last visit for the, Prime Minister of Egypt, it was with 200, was the Prime Minister of Turkey, was with 200 businessmen.
Yes.
The speech of, Mr. Erdogan in the Cairo University was like a model of celebration for the Egyptian people. The concept and the belief what the Egyptian hold to Turkey is too much. But they need to look at it as part of the new world order. They have to plan it. They have to really have this type of strategy because the world is changing. And it's changing very fast and every day. And we need to understand that also not everyone will be happy that we will become better and better, stronger and stronger. This is a world. As you have friends, you have enemy. You have to keep peaceful relation with people, but you have to keep this type of peaceful relation based on your ability, your power, your economic strengths. And this is, I think, what we need today to do. They have to look both together.
Yes.
To how this relation needs to be progressed, maturated, developed, move from one phase to the other phase with an objective that really this, as you correctly mentioned, came to be a very powerful unity in this area of the world.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes, Dr. Hossam, thank you very much for joining us. It's an honor to have you here at our studio. We hope to see you here in live in our studio, inshallah. And we come to the end of our show today. And thank you, my friends here, and thank you for joining us.
It was my pleasure to be with you, and I wish to see you very soon in Istanbul, inshallah.
Inshallah, we are waiting for you. Inshallah.
Hope to have you here. Look forward to having you here. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Our ties with Turkey, as I mentioned, is very strong, and even on business-wise, one of my group priority now is dealing with the Turkish group, and sure we'll meet in Istanbul, inshallah.
Inshallah. We will unite and we will remove the passports and visas. Independent countries, but no passports, no visas. You are our brothers and sisters are living in Egypt. We are inseparable. Turkey, Egypt, and also the other countries, other Muslim countries also. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Selamünaleyküm.
Selam.
Alaikum salam.